This is Coach Jason Ballard, and I'm a business wingman. Over the years, I've learned a lot from working in our family construction business, serving as a senior officer in the United States Air Force, and running 12 different organizations around the world. Many people helped me get to where I am today, and it's my mission in life to serve as a personal wingman to others. That's what this podcast is all about, providing knowledge, tools, resources, and mentorship to help people soar to their highest altitude. Welcome back to the Soar Higher podcast. This is your host, Coach Jason Ballard. It's a real privilege to be with you today. And today, we're going to be talking about a really cool topic, one of my favorite topics. It's called the 4 traps of business that every business leader sometimes finds themselves in. And why do we get into these traps? How do these cause us so many challenges? And better yet, how to even get out of those? We're going to be unpacking that, understanding that on a very detailed level so you can be armed with information so you can recognize where you are in your business journey. I think that's very important to recognize as you're going through your business and career journey, to recognize where you are, what's going well, what's not going so well, and what do you need to do to move forward? How do you climb that next rung up the ladder? How do you move from one phase of growth and maturity in your business to the next? It's challenging, it's tricky, and there are a lot of traps and a lot of things along the way that trip us up and cause us a lot of frustration. It doesn't have to be as hard as sometimes we make it if you know how to recognize those things and you know what to do. It's kind of like a doctor. When you go to the doctor and you got a pain or an ache, the doctor always kind of starts off with, a particular set of tests and blood work and vitals. And there's a starting point to understand where you are with your health so they know what to do for you to help you be where you need to be in living a better quality life, a happier life, and overcoming some of the challenges that may have brought you into the doctor's office in the first place. And so same kind of principle applies in business. So let's get into it. What are we really, truly talking about today? I want to introduce you to a term called the sigmoid curve. Some people also refer to it as the business life cycle. This is a journey. This is a curve of the ups and the downs of business, from starting out in a business to getting out of the business. That whole cradle to grave process that we all go through. And obviously, there's some good, there's some bad, there's some ugly along the way. And how we traverse that, the decisions we make, the tools we use, the advice we listen to, the things that we do in that process of our day-to-day business and career journeys will ultimately depict how far you go and how successful you will be. And so I want you to think about, for folks that maybe not watching this on video, that are just listening to this, I want you to think about the sigmoid curve in this way. I want you to think about a piece of paper. And on the left-hand side of the paper is the first phase. There's 4 phases of the sigmoid curve or the business life cycle. There's kind of the beginning of your business. Then there's a cycle of growth. There's kind of you think about this as a kind of a vertical. Left-hand side of the page is the beginning and the startup. The second phase of this is growth, which is to the right of startup. To the right of the growth phase is a vertical called the reinvestment. And then you've got the final phase, which is the 4th phase of the life cycle, and that's the decline phase. So there's 4 phases: startup, growth, reinvestment, and decline. And we're going to kind of break those down and talk a little bit about those today. So let's start off with the very first piece of this, which is the startup. Every business has a starting point. Somebody has a good idea. Somebody has an opportunity they see in the world for a product or a service that people would get a lot of value from, would pay money for. And they're very passionate about that. And so they think about starting a business to sell those things to the buyers they want to target, to give them the best opportunity to buy their products and services. If you're looking at it from a career standpoint, there's always a starting point of everybody's career, right? Usually that's after they graduate high school or they graduate college. They start into their career. They get their first job after school. And there's the first job, and then they grow and develop and learn. And then there's the second job, and then there's they grow, learn, uh, develop and get some more experience. And then that leads them to a promotion or another job down the road, and they grow. It's kind of like climbing the mountain, climbing the pyramid. You just get better and better as you go, hopefully. And so there's always um, a beginning to everything in life. And so think about your career, your business. There's always the starting point. The starting point is very exciting. The starting point is fun because you've got this idea of products and services that are going to change the market, help people in different ways, bigger, better ways. And so you're motivated and you're excited and you're talking to people and you get ready to launch this new venture. And so you launch this new venture and you start thinking about all the things that it takes to make that happen, how to brand that, how to put a logo around it, what to call the business, the marketing pieces, your sales process. Once you get people to buy it, then how do you onboard them? How do you convert clients? How do you serve them from a customer service standpoint? There's all these things that start happening, right? There's the revenue generation. Then there's the profitability piece of that. And then there's, you need a building, you need computers, you need to hire people. Things just start taking off and evolving. But that very beginning phase of starting a business is very exciting and fun, but it's also very frustrating. It's also very tiring. And here's why. It's like moving a boulder up a big mountain. It's a lot of work in a short amount of time. It is a place where you're doing, you're spread a mile wide and in a mile deep. I'm like, everything is on the business owner or the business leader to do all these things. You don't have, usually, unless you get some kind of seed funding, normally you don't have a lot of resources to do a bunch of things at one time. So it's a slow grinding process of talking to people, figuring out your funding, prioritizing your money and when to spend money, how to get your product and service off the ground. It is a grind. It is a hard work that will wear you down. That's why over 70% of the businesses that get started today will never make it past year 3. Usually in the first 3 to 5 years, businesses, 70% of those businesses will go out of business because it's really, really hard. If you've never owned a business before, you will find out real quick what the pressure feels like to own all of those things yourself and to get this business lifted off the ground and all the things it takes. You're working 70, 80-hour weeks for a long time until you get this going. And so what happens is that you fall into a particular trap. Along the whole journey, the whole process of the sigmoid curve or the business life cycle, you've got obviously these 4 phases: the growth, the startup, the growth, the reinvestment, and the decline. And along that journey, there are 4 traps. There's a trap in each one of these different areas of your business journey. The first one comes in the startup phase, in the very beginning. And it's called 3 feet from gold. 3 feet from gold. And it's based off a true story of a very optimistic gold miner that goes out west back in the days of the gold rush and buys a piece of property. This piece of property was rumored to have a large amount of gold on the property. And so he goes out and he buys the property and he starts digging and digging and digging, and years go by and he never finds the gold. He gets worn out. He's tired. He's hot. He's frustrated. He's completely exhausted from all of the work it takes to dig on this large piece of property for the win, for the gold, for the cash out, the payout. Like, I finally achieved it. I finally overcame all the odds and I found the gold. And he never found the gold. And he gives up. He sells the property. The next landowner that bought the property from him starts digging for gold. In a very short amount of time, the new owner hits gold. Not just any gold, the largest deposits of gold in the nation at that point in time. And you may ask, oh my God, how did one guy dig and dig and dig for years and never find the gold? And this other person rolls in a short amount of time, finds the gold. It's a bunch of gold. They get rich. Everything's great. How the heck did he do it? What did he do different? Nothing. He did absolutely nothing different. What was different is the second landowner never gave up because he found that gold 3 feet, literally 3 feet, 36 inches away from where the last guy stopped. If the last guy would have just hung in there a little bit longer, he would have found the gold. All that hard work for years and years of work would have paid off, but he gave up too soon. And that's the moral of the story. In the earlier stages of your business or careers, you work really, really hard to go to school, really, really hard to do research and study the market and talk to people and experts and meetings and do all this work to build a product, to build a service, to build your processes and to do all these things. Get out there and talk to people, get out there and sell stuff, join chambers, join clubs, just getting out there and getting it year after year. And a lot of businesses go out of business because they give up too soon before all that farming starts growing crops, before all of that hard work starts really kicking in and paying off. They give up too soon. And so that's trap number one. So you overcome that, you get through that, and your business starts taking off. Your career starts taking off. People are noticing you. People are buying stuff from you. People are hiring you and giving you opportunities to do great things in the world. And you're excited. And you come out of kind of the beginning. You come out of the startup mode, the entrepreneurial, do what it takes to get it done mode, and you start growing. Hard work is rewarded with more hard work. And so you start going up the scale. You start going literally, if you were to look at the map on a piece of paper, you're going straight up, almost straight up the mountain. It's all growth. And you start getting customers and you start getting promoted and you start, reaping the benefits of all this hard work, and things get real busy. And after a point, after a certain amount of time, you've going down this path and onboarding new clients and serving new clients and cashing the checks and hiring people and going through the motions of growing a business, things are just kind of busy, super, super busy. And it's hard for the leader to keep track of it all. It gets too big for one person to control. And that leads us to trap number 2 in the middle of the growth cycle, is something called the founder's trap, or kind of like a leader trap. This is centered around the leadership of the organization, where you've grown something, you've got a lot of pride and dignity into this thing, and things are going well, and it's time for you to let go. It's time for you to let go of some control, not be in the center of so many things, not to be the single source of failure. And a lot of business leaders become the single source of failure. People have to go to them for permission, go to them to get every little thing approved, go for them for everything. And so what happens is the leaders kind of get stuck going round and round, being caught up in the busyness of the day to day. There's a lot of firefighting that goes on in the founder's trap. People kind of start feeling stuck, like the business was growing, but things have gotten complicated. And it's like you take one step forward and two steps back. Communication becomes a challenge. People get frustrated. It takes longer to do things. People know they can do better. People want to change. They just don't know how. And they're busy being busy, not busy being productive. It's a little bit of managed chaos in this situation. That's the founder's trap. And boy, that is a really tough place to be, because the leader has to make most of the change in order for the company to move forward. And that's really hard, really, really hard. When I coach people in their businesses, I often find when I start working with people, they reach out to me as a coach to help them move the business forward because they're stuck in the founder's trap. They don't even know what the founder's trap is. They don't really understand what's going on. All they know is they're tired, they're frustrated, they're working 80-hour weeks, and things aren't going as well as they want them to, and things are, just not clicking on all cylinders as they want them to be. They know they could be, they just don't know how to make it happen. And they start kind of, sometimes leaders start exceeding their personal capabilities to lead, communicate, manage, and guide and direct the company forward. And they start losing sight of the strategic aspects of the business, the next 2 to 4 years out, and planning for that and building capacity for that, because they're caught up in the day to day. That's a tough place to be. As you go up, once you make it out of the founder's trap, the next place you go is just wonderful. It's all growth, all success. It's a straight shot right up to the top of the mountain. And that's a very good place to be, because you've worked hard, you've overcome two different, major hurdles in your journey. Now it's straight up success. You're growing, you're evolving, your products are, doing well. People are loving it. You're getting tons of 5-star Google reviews. Things are great. If you're in your career and looking at it from an individual career, you're getting promoted. You're becoming the go-to person. You're getting opportunities to do different things, and they're training you and evolving you and making you a supervisor or whatever that may be, right? Things are going really, really well. You're kind of at the top of your game. Things are just awesome. And when you get to the top of your game, that's where you got to be really, really careful. That's a dangerous place to be. And here's why. That's where trap number 3 comes in. It's called the success trap. It's called a success trap for a reason. And here's why. Things are going well. Everything's going well. Every area, the marketing's hitting. You're bringing in your target clients. You're selling stuff with ease. You're not having to beg, borrow, and steal. People are signing up for your stuff. Customer service is going well. Everything's going great. And then you get stuck in the success trap. And here's what happens in the success trap. That's when people start getting complacent. That's when you start taking things for granted. That's when things You're not as hungry as you used to be. Your expectations aren't as high as they used to be. You get in a rhythm and in a cycle of doing things, and it gets comfortable. And you found a rhythm. That's a positive thing, but it also can be a very negative thing, because when you get complacent, when you aren't really challenging the company, the people in the company, and you're just kind of doing the daily grind, it becomes like that old hamster wheel of rinse and repeat and just keep doing what we're doing. Everything's great. We're making money. That's a real dangerous point to be, because if you're not careful, you can start declining. This is a point where customer service starts taking a hit, where you're not following up with things on the level you need to be, where you're not growing and developing your people as much as you need to. That's a point when you throttle back on your planning and your ability to improve your products and services. And so you're just rinsing and repeating. Now, dangerous place to be. And you've got really two options at this point. Really, you can go to the next phase of growth, or you can start declining. So I want you to think about businesses that you've been into. It could be a restaurant, it could be a movie theater, it could be any kind of business. Have you ever been in a business where the service was slow, where people didn't follow up on things, as they told you one thing, did another? Let's think about Blockbuster. Blockbuster back in its heyday was a huge business. There, every town had a Blockbuster, and the routine was on Friday afternoons, you get off work, you go pick up a pizza, you go drop by the Blockbuster, and you pick up a couple of movies, you take them home and you watch the movies, and you return them back either that Sunday afternoon or your way back to work on that Monday. It was great. It was a great service. They had popcorn, they had candy, they had all the bases covered. Lots of movies, new releases, great business model. But they stopped innovating. They stopped changing and growing and improving. And then they had an opportunity to get into the streaming business, the digital business, and they declined to do that. That's when the competition crept in, like Netflix and all the other streaming things we see out there today, the Hulus um, and Netflix and Amazon and all those kind of groups that are all into streaming. It's all about streaming today. There's no such thing as movie stores, but Blockbuster went out of business because they were in the success trap. They got complacent. They didn't evolve. The competition crept in and eventually knocked them off the block, and they were forced to go out of business and close all the stores. It was kind of a sad story. And so you got two options. One, you can reinvest. What does reinvestment mean? That's kind of the third stage of the business life cycle in the sigmoid curve. Like reinvestment means you're making your products and services better. You're improving them. You're adding to them. You'll have 5 products. Now you have 6 or 7. You continue to diversify. You continue to involve technology and innovation and deliver it in different ways, right? You find ways to continuously add value to the people that are buying your products and services, right? And if you're in your career, it's the same thing. You're continuing to grow yourself, get another degree, get some certifications, get some qualifications, ask for some tougher assignments where you can stretch your abilities to grow and challenge yourself and ask for those harder jobs. Take stuff off your boss's plate, right? You continuously moving forward in a very positive manner. And so that leads us into the reinvestment phase. The reinvestment phase is doing those types of things where you're continuously being relevant as a business or as an individual contributor or professional, right? You're continuously driving things to drive value, relevancy, so that you can continue to move the needle forward and accomplish the goals of the organization, meet the needs of your clients, or meet the needs of your own personal goals. Having that dream house, having a certain kind of car, having a certain kind of lifestyle, whatever those things are, you're continuously driving, because if not, this is a fast moving world. As hard as you may have worked to get to where you are today, it can all go away in the blink of an eye. It's a fast moving, highly competitive world we live in. Which leads me to the fourth and final phase of the business life cycle, the sigmoid curve, and that's decline. If you do not continue to improve and grow and reinvest in that third phase, then you will most certainly decline. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. When you stop learning, growing, and evolving, when you stop being challenged, you're giving up. Think about it as like an airplane. What needs to happen for an airplane to fly? It needs altitude, it needs thrust, and it needs vector. Vector meaning guidance. It needs to, go up, down, left, right. You need to be able to vector the plane however you need to vector it. But the thing that's most important about an airplane flying from point A to point B successfully is thrust. Without thrust, an airplane will go down. It will lose altitude and it will eventually land and or crash. If you don't have thrust in an airplane, you are not going to stay afloat for very long. Same in business. Same in your career. If you don't have thrust and you don't have the vector, the guidance and making the right decisions at the right time and turning on and off things at the right time, making the right choices you need to make with the right thrust behind you, you will start declining. You will start becoming irrelevant. That's just the world we live in. And so that leads us to the third trap, and that's called the denial trap. You're in decline and you're starting to get in denial. You may not even recognize you're in this situation. You may not understand what's going on. You may be in denial. And in denial, things aren't going well. You're losing traction. You're losing relevancy. You're losing market share. You're losing your ability to compete and deliver and be the best that you can be. Things are starting to pass you by. Other people are outperforming you. A lot of times when I see people in this denial trap, they know things aren't going well, but they just don't know what's going on and what's driving it. They have ideas, but they're like in a fog. They just can't see it. They just can't understand it. They need to step away from it and get some clarity. And they're also very proud to ask for help. It's very hard to ask for help, especially when things aren't going well, because it makes you look like and makes you kind of feel like you don't know what you're doing, like you're making mistakes, like you're a potential failure. May not mean you're a failure. Your chances are you're not a failure. Failure is potential here, but 99% of the time when I see people in this space, they're not failing. They just don't know what they don't know. They're kind of gone beyond their capabilities and they just need some people around them that can show them the way and bring some reality into the situation and go from there. And so that is the four traps. You got 3 feet from gold. You've got the founder's trap, you got the success trap, and you got the decline trap. And so I know what you're thinking. You're like, wow, okay, I get it. I recognize some of these things. I see some of these things in myself. I may see some of these things in my own company that I'm in. I may see some things in other companies that I go to and do business with, but how do you deal with them? How do you get out of those? How do you move forward? How do you, um, get through those and not be victims of these traps to where it causes you to crash and burn? And so, I want to give you some tips here on each of these. I think this would be very, very helpful. One, to recognize it, and then two, you have some initial options on what to do when you face these challenges. So, 3 feet from gold, this is really simple. 3 feet from gold, remember, is about you working really hard and things aren't happening. Your marketing's not kicking in, the sales aren't there, and you're working and working and working, and things aren't getting traction yet, and you give up too soon potentially. So, this is really simple. This is about one, doing the things you know are right to do. This is about trusting yourself and trusting the process. The process works. You just have to be disciplined to it. Even when it doesn't feel like it's working, it is. Sometimes when you're farming and you're planting seeds and you're talking to people and you're working really hard to do things, sometimes a crop may take a few weeks to sprout up. Sometimes a crop may take a couple months to sprout up, like a carrot or a potato. But sometimes crops take a long time to sprout. Take bamboo. It takes 7 years on average for bamboo to start growing. But when it does, it grows 30 feet tall. It can actually get out of control if you're not careful. And so sometimes when you don't see the fruits of your labor, you get frustrated because in this world we live in, what do we want? Instant gratification. We want to see instant results. And sometimes in business and our careers, we have to be patient. And so you've got to surround yourself with people that know what they're doing. If you're an inexperienced business leader for the first time, or starting a new business, or starting out in your career, you may just not have all the knowledge and skills and tools and resources around you. So I would say find a coach, find a business mentor, find somebody that has been in business for a while, understand some of these things, may have a few more battle scars in this area than you are in your journey, that can coach you, can mentor you, can give you the reassurance you need at that stage of growth, that you are doing the right things. A lot of mistakes people make in that stage of the startup mode and the 3 feet from gold is like, well, I tried this marketing tactic for a couple months. It didn't work. I'm going to jump to another one. I tried that one for a month. It didn't work. I'm going to jump to now. And they just jump all over the place and they don't give things time to kick in and to be fertilized and to take root. And so if you know and you're doing the right things you know are right, then stay patient, stay disciplined to the process, and be confident in yourself and trust yourself in that. That takes us to the founder's trap. Founder's trap obviously is everything centered around the leader. Too much stuff centered around the leader. They're overwhelmed, and they've got to delegate. They've got to start doing things differently, or they're going to implode from all the pressure of being in the center of everything in the business. And so you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable, because that means you've got to let go. If you're in the founder's trap and you're feeling overwhelmed by everything going on in the business, you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Being uncomfortable means you're letting go of the things that you're used to being able to control and being able to gravitate to some new and exciting things that need your time and attention at that point. You're thinking more strategically. You're having more conversations about partnerships. You're going to take clients to golf and see how things are going and see if you can get some more business out of them, right? You're thinking more strategically. So let it go. The business is not going to crash and burn if you've got good people around you and you communicate effectively to them your standards and expectations. You show them, you get them going, and you let them take off and run. Chances are they'll probably do it better than you because they're experts. You've brought in people that are experts in these different areas of your business and can probably do it a little bit better than you because they've got more time to go deeper into it than you did doing everything in the business. All right. In the founder's trap, you need to start focusing on a broader plan. Where are we in the business? So you've grown, you've matured, things are taking off, things are at a whole nother level if you're in the founder's trap. So the next question for you as the leader is, what needs to happen for us to reach that next level of success and get out of the founder's trap? What are we going to define as success in our next journey? You need a plan. You need a new plan that takes you from the founder's trap all the way up to the success trap. You can't keep doing the same things you're doing. So in the founder's trap, to get out of it, you need to plan. You need to think bigger. You need to bring in some different people to help challenge you, see what's going on, assess the business and where things are good and not good. Get that unbiased feedback so you can build a very prioritized, focused plan to go to the next level and make those changes. In the founder's trap, your job is to get out of it by being the change champion, taking things and mixing things up and leading the change that needs to happen, or you will stay at that level. It's inevitable. All right. That leads us to the success trap. What do we do to get out of the success trap? And that is always be thinking about the future. As a leader, you need to be entrepreneurial. You need to be thinking about what's the next mountain to climb. How can we improve these products and services, and getting with industry experts, getting with your own company experts so they can help you drive higher levels of excellence in your products and your services. It's about growth. It's about competition. It's about the next battle to face on the battlefield with a potential new competitor, a new enemy, a new opportunity. Okay, that's an opportunity to not just do things in your, making things better in your own business, but what are the new opportunities being created in the market as a result of things going on in the economy or things going on around you creates opportunities. That's where, as a leader, you need to be focused on constantly looking at those opportunities and how to capitalize on them and pull those in and make that part of your business and your business model. That allows you to kind of grow to the next level, and it keeps you from turning down in decline. Which leads me to some suggestions for you if you are in the decline phase, if you are in the denial trap. If you're in the denial trap, you are in pretty big trouble. You may or may not be able to recover, depending on how far down this rabbit hole you may be. Um, Anything's possible, but at the point where you are recognizing you are in this denial trap where things are not going well, nothing you're trying is working, you've got to work really, really hard. It's almost like going back to the startup phase where you have to work 78-hour weeks to move the boulder uphill until you can get things going, right? You have to dig back out of this hole, and it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of effort. And so that means you got to start reinvesting. You got to figure out where you made bad decisions along the way and what needs to happen to get out of those things, and what are your next best options And that's when you also need to be open to help consultants, business coaches like me that can come in, help rescue some things, help turn some things around, turn that ship around as fast as possible. If you don't make drastic changes in the denial trap, you will ultimately fail. Let me say that again. You have to make drastic changes. You can't make just a little change here and a little change there and, you know, things that make you feel good one day and what's comfortable. You're not in comfort. If you're in the denial trap, you are about to crash and burn. You've got to pull the stick up. You've got to gain altitude. You've got to add more thrust, push the throttle forward. You have to make drastic changes or you will go out of business. And I would say at that point, you need professional help, coaches, consultants to be able to do that. And so as we kind of end today's session, I've got some important questions for you. Where are you in your journey? Are you in kind of the beginning stages? Are you in rapid growth? Are you in a point where you need to reinvent things and make things better and improve and reinvest? Or are you declining? How do you compete with your competition? Are you the leader in the market or are you the follower in last place trying to figure it out or somewhere in the middle? Where are you in your business? On an individual level, where are you in your career? Are you stuck in your career on the hamster wheel? Are you settling for less than what you're capable of? Are you getting passed over for promotions? Like, where are you really? Like, look in the mirror and ask yourself these hard questions and be honest with yourself. Are you in one of these traps? If so, what are you going to do about it? What action are you going to take? What are your options? And so today, my hope is I was able to give you some really good, hard-hitting, in the trenches kind of information that helps you recognize where you may be, understand, some of these options you may have, so you can maybe start applying some of these things to help you move forward. Everybody wants to grow. Everybody wants to move forward. Everybody wants to do better, live a happier, healthier life. You just have to recognize where you are in that process and be willing to do some things a little bit differently to move yourself forward. And so I want to challenge you. If you are stuck in your business and you are in one of these traps and you're listening to this, and you're like, dang, Coach Jason is describing me. This is me. I may need some help. I didn't even really recognize what this was. I knew something was going on. I just couldn't put a label on it because I'm not familiar with the sigmoid curve or some of these traps, but they're real. And everybody goes through this. And the most successful people get it quick and figure out ways to move forward. And so I challenge you. Where are you? What needs to happen for you to move forward? Reach out. We'll have more information in the show notes where you can go to my website at soarhighercoaching.com and learn more. There's free resources on that website, assessments, articles, downloadables. I put a lot of free stuff out there on that website as well as this podcast. So you've got some things around you to even get started. Reach out. I offer complimentary sessions, free coaching sessions to people just to understand where they're at, give them some advice. If they want to work together, great. If they don't, they get a little bit of advice from a certified master coach and go forward. And so I challenge you, don't be stuck. Don't settle for less. Don't be in the trap. You're better than that. Move forward. You've got options. There are people and things out there to help you be the best you can be today. So, no excuses, just moving forward. Reach out if we can help you. So that's it for today's show, everybody. I hope you got some really good things out of this. You're going to want to stay tuned in for next week's show. It's going to be a real good one. Next week, we're going to be talking about a very hot topic, AI, artificial intelligence, and how it's disrupting business and our way of life, what's going on there, what to expect going forward. We got some experts on the show. Look forward to having you listen to that and get some really good things out of that. It's going to be exciting. Hope you have a great week. Talk to you next week. Bye-bye.